Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the June meeting of CB11's Environment, Open Space and Parks Committee. My name is Jessica Elliott and I'm the chair of the committee. This meeting is called to order at 6:34 p.m. Tonight, we are joined by Cleve Nixon, staff liaison to our committee. In order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Members should not engage in back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. The chat should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record when recognized. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to this discussion. Members of the public, if you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. We will now take attendance by roll call.
Okay, committee members, there are 10 members total, 6 are needed for quorum. Rosa Diaz,
Present.
Jessica Elliott,
Present.
David Giordano,
David, stay present.
that's Jewel Jones,
Present.
Connie Lee.
Present.
Thank you, Malik McCullough,
He should be here.
Debbie Quinones.
Present.
Thank you, Asher Rodriguez, submitted the form, Asher. Okay, not yet. Russell Schuler. Michelle Wilson Clement.
This is Asher at the door.
Is Asher right here? Okay, perfect. So just- okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. So with Asher here, you have 8 present.
Okay. The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office and was posted online. If there is no objection, we'll adopt the agenda as stated. Commit with one new addition, which is we'll recognize Jewel Jones at new business to talk about swap. I'm swap. Get to it. Committee members, if you object to adopting the agenda, you may raise your hand. Seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from our last meeting were distributed to committee members ahead of time by the board office. If there is no objection, we'll adopt the minutes from that meeting. Okay,
I was not absent. This is absent, so LA.
we will make that change. Committee members, if you object to adopting the minutes with that change, you may raise your hand. Seeing no objections, the minutes from the last meeting are adopted. The meeting minutes of tonight's meeting are being taken by myself. And we'll start our meeting with the announcements. Our first announcement is sort of for informational purposes. There's an RFEI, a request for expressions of interest for off-season pool/deck activations at select pool sites citywide. Thomas Jefferson Pool was selected for consideration. And I believe they're looking for operators of snack things.
Right, like any kind of vendors or contractors that would be able to, that would fulfill the requirements for it. So we made the link available to the public. So anybody, if you know anyone that is a contractor or vendor that would specialize in these type of RFEIs, please forward that information. That's in this local. Michelle, just walk through.
All right, our second announcement is again relating to Marcus Garvey Park. There's a number of construction activities ongoing. And we'll let Tapashi and team make announcements about that. Are there any other announcements? I think there was the oh, go ahead. About the public safety and transportation meeting.
Oh, you mean for the Con Edison?
Yeah.
I did have that on the new business,
Okay.
if the committee wanted to consider it.
Thank you. All right, and now we will move along to our informational updates. First, we'll recognize any city agency partners who are here to give an information update. Department of Parks and Recreation.
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear and see me?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. Could you possibly pull up the map so I can talk people through it?
No problem, give me 1 second.
Thank you. Yep, if you don't mind scrolling to the map specifically. There you go. All right, so currently in Marcus Garvey Park, the area north of the amphitheater, which is from 122nd to 124th, is currently under construction. We were hoping that it would be completed by the beginning of June, but due to the delivery of the pavers were delayed. So now it's going to take a little bit longer. The area in blue will be reopened at the end of June, and the area in red will be opened at the end of July. And again, more construction in the park on the west side, starting June 10th, which is this coming Monday. The purple area will go under construction, and we are anticipating that the pink area will go under construction starting in September 2nd. It's approximately 6 to 9 weeks for the purple and pink areas to be completed. But basically, the whole entire summer there will be construction in Marcus Garvey on the west side of the park, and construction thankfully is from 7 to 3 ends at 3 p.m. So if there are any events at the amphitheater past that point, it shouldn't be impacted by construction sounds. That's the first part. And also in terms of events, this is Juneteenth. We have on June 22nd, we're going to have an event from 4 to 8 p.m. at the amphitheater, starting from 4 to 8, and it's with the National Jazz Museum in Harlem. And there will be like dances, a kids corner, 2 different dance sessions. So I don't know if I sent the Khalil, did I send a flyer to you? If not, I will do that now.
Yeah, I can't say that I have that flyer from Takashi, but yes, please send that at your earliest
Okay.
convenience.
Okay, I'll do that. And on June 14th, there's the Kids Fest. Give me 1 second. Let me just pull up because there are a few events coming up. And actually on as you may know, Harlem Grown received the Mellon Foundation Award. So we're going to have a lot of activities this summer, and you can actually see some of they already have a calendar of events under what's called their CCI portion of their website. So you can look at both the park's website and at Harlem Grown to see events in the park. And I'll drop both of those links in the chat for you all. And that is it for me now. Thank you.
Thank you, Kashi. When did you say construction would be slated to be finished?
For the entire thing, or
Yeah.
Let's see. Give me 1 second. So the last one, the pink area, will go under construction on September 2nd. Then that's for 9 weeks, and it's give or take because it's an approximation. So probably in the end of November, everything will be finished.
Okay, great, thank you.
And that's due to like the being able to place the pavers. It's weather dependent.
Got it. Are there any other questions for the Department of Parks and Recreation?
No.
Yep. All right, thank you so much, Takashi. It's nice to
problem.
see you.
Good
Are
to
there
see you.
any other Parks and Recreation folks who would like to give an informational update? David? Anybody?
Is David there?
Oh yeah, she'll stay on. Takashi, you'll stay on, right? Okay, no others from Parks for informational updates. Is there anyone here from the Department of Sanitation? Going once. Is there anyone here from the Department of Environmental Protection? All right, we'll move on to our Parks advocacy groups. Are there any park advocacy groups here to give an informational update? Donna?
Hi, everyone. It's me, Sprinkles Island. How you guys doing tonight? Good to see everyone. We have some really great programs coming up. We have a waterfront stewardship field trip program, which explores our wetlands and natural spaces within New York City public school students. Field trips are free to attend and run for 90 minutes. Please check out our website for more information. We will have cocktails on the Urban Farm, which would be a Pride event on June 8th from 5 to 8 p.m. The Randall's Island Park Alliance is excited to welcome you to a queer cocktail night, an evening of fresh farm cocktails and mocktails, plant-based hors d'oeuvres, crafts and activities, and a drag performance, all taking place on the urban farm. Ages 21 and up, 5 p.m. the doors open, 5 to 8 p.m. Will be activities, and then from 6 to 7 p.m. there'll be drag performances. We also have on June 12th from 6 to 7:30 outdoor strength training. This is also a free class located at the Harlem River picnic area behind the asphalt pad, which is located actually behind Icon Stadium. There will be a limited number of mats and mini bands available, so please bring your own, along with water and a comfortable workout attire. We have another great event called Pollinator Palooza, which will take place on the urban farm on June 15th from 12 to 3 o'clock. And it's a pollinator-themed day of arts, games, and exploration. Take photos at our butterfly photo booth and bring home your own pollinator craft geared towards families and children. This event sounds really interesting. I'm thinking of going myself. It's called the Herbal Medicine Workshop, Roots and Remedies. Again, it's located on the urban farm on June 22nd from 11 to 1 p.m. It's led by a seasoned herbalist, Jess Turner from Alamina Botanicals. This hands-on workshop will guide you through plant identification, the history of botanical medicine, harvesting techniques, and a variety of herbal remedies. Don't miss this opportunity to create your own custom-made tincture, reconnect with nature, and empower yourself with the healing power of the plants. Registration is required. Just go to our website for that. And then we have a drag story hour at our Urban Farm Kitchen, which will be held on June 29th from 11 to 12 o'clock. Join the Randall's Island Park Alliance for bilingual storytelling with Drag Story Hour at New York City, presented in Spanish and English. A local drag performer trained in children's librarians will read picture books in both languages, sing songs, do movement activities, and provide an age-appropriate introduction to the concept of drag as a form of dress up and play. The program is geared towards children ages 3 through 8. And like I said, most programs are free. I hope that you do come out and join us. We have a lot of other programs available for all ages. You can check us out on our website.
Thank you, Donna. Are there any questions for Randall's Island? Yes, after.
Just a quick question. Do you know what area of the island, Punk Island, is gonna be taking place on this weekend?
Did you say Punk Island?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me just double check. If it's gonna be, I just want to double check that that is all of our major events happen on the event field, the event site, I'm sorry, yes. The event pad and lawn, it's located right behind Icon Stadium.
Okay,
Are you attending?
maybe.
Don't be afraid, come out. We'd love to have you.
My whole family's going.
Oh, terrific, terrific. Let's see. And we're only expecting about 500 people, so it should be great.
It's gonna be small this year.
Michelle?
Compared to some of our events. Yeah, but it should be exciting. So we'd love to have you come out.
I would like you to reiterate, is it a Saturday or a Sunday for the youth and remedy?
The medicine.
The herbal medical, we said remedy?
Roots and Remedies. That's June 22nd from 11 to 1 o'clock. That's at the Urban Farm.
All right.
Thank you.
Quick.
Yep.
This might not be a question that you can answer, Donna, but how within, like, because Punk Island is supposed to be a non-alcohol, smoking event. How is that gonna be handled? Because in the past, I've seen people drinking and smoking, so. Because if it's supposed to be an all ages event,
Yeah, I mean, we have our rules in the park. It's difficult because we don't have, our own security to enforce that. We do have our PEP, our own enforcement, and unfortunately, we don't have a large staff to enforce that. So we rely on people to adhere to the rules. So hopefully they will.
Thank you, Donna.
You're
Are there any
welcome.
other questions for Randall's Island Park Limits? All right, thank you so much, Donna, and hope to see you at the park soon.
Absolutely. Hope you come out. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Friends of the East River Esplanade? Well,
I apologize for being outside, but I'm on my way to another event. I'm Jennifer Ratner, the board chair of Friends of the East River Esplanade. And I just want to let everyone know, in case they haven't seen it, that we hung Carmen, community artist, Carmen Paulino's really, really beautiful flowers on the Esplanade now almost a month ago or so, but we are having a soft launch where we're going to hang the park signs, the bilingual park signs for the New York City Art in the Parks this Saturday at 3:00 on the site. And so as fellow parkies, if anyone would like to join, please send us an email at executive director@esplanadefriends.org. You could just stop by. We're hoping that at least some of the local elected officials will show up for a short time, and Carmen will be there as well. But double check with us just beforehand to make sure that we're going at the expected time of 3:00. But if you haven't seen it, it's a really nice thing. As we wait for the new and fabulous new Esplanade, we're trying to keep things looking beautiful and decorating the chain link fence that's there now. I apologize. Very loud, sorry.
no worries.
And
Jennifer, do you mind repeating the date of that event at 3 p.m.?
This Saturday, June 8th
Great, thank you.
at 3 p.m. And then we just had all of our events, but we'll have more in the fall. So don't forget us. We're the front page of Our Town. We're front page news for our event that was held not in the East Harlem portion, but further south. We had well over 700 people, salsa music. We gave out free ice cream, and it was really, really amazing last Saturday. And so we just want you to always keep us in mind, because once there's the new and fabulous Esplanade and Pier, we're hoping to bring all of that programming back to East Harlem again, as we used to do it before things really started falling in. So that's why we're here. And for any of you who are interested, we're having our fundraiser on June 18th as well. Yes, somebody has a question, I can see.
Thank you so much. Are there questions, Michelle?
How far south was the event that had 700 people?
Tell you about it?
You said that there was a really well-attended event with ice cream and whatnot, and how far, you said it was a little further south, how far south?
Yeah, so we do now for the past, since 2018, we moved all of our events to 60th Street, actually under the Alice Aycock Pavilion, which is Andrew Haswell Green Park. So it was at 60. And actually, I'll tell you, so when we used to do our events a long time ago in the East Harlem section, we met a lot of East Harlem residents, because we used to have Afro-Caribbean dancing. We had salsa music. We gave out free ice cream in East Harlem. And we're still getting some of those friends of the Esplanade who, were strangers to me, but friends of the Esplanade who are coming to all of our events now down at 60th Street, which is like so thrilling, actually. And even we have some volunteers that we met in East Harlem back in the day who come and help us, like, there's all the logistics and schlepping of tents and things. And we have, for example, one gentleman who comes, who met us first in East Harlem. So we're really looking forward keep the momentum going because that's where we started, was on the East Harlem waterfront, doing these 3 events.
Thank you, Jennifer. Are there any other questions for Prince Eastern Restaurant? All right, thank you so much, Jennifer, for being here, and we'll see
Okay,
you soon.
sorry, I gotta go to something else. Okay, bye.
All right, all right, are there any other Parks Advocacy groups? Mary Nell?
Hi, Mary Nell Hogg is with her crew. We've been blocked off of the Esplanade, but we're gone, hopefully not forgotten, and hopefully not forever. And I'm here, to ask, 2 things. One, we have hundreds of pictures of the program on the water, different places that we've gone. And this place now, I won't keep you a long time listening, but this place now, I'm starting to call it a portal. Because it is the only place between a place not as big as this room, under the Brooklyn Bridge, all the way up to Bette Midler's area, where these boats can become one. And we go all over the place. We go to Red Hook, Brooklyn, takes us less than an hour to get there on the boats. No carbon footprint. We don't have any of these junked boats that are made of plastic that parts is, has so much work to and you can see, and I think a lot else has decided that the area that is 96th Street shouldn't be able to accommodate Whitehall. And I did some pages to distribute. That's about the earliest of these boats that were in the others of this passing on papers, and we have to go back, as we probably heard from us, back to the our country back. So we want to keep doing this, and I also that's A. And B short is that you all have a beautiful office, and I'm wondering whether we might be able to make a display of some of the things that we've done. Because just people not from this room, but from seeing other people just don't get it. And in fact, maybe I've done displays in the libraries and if they try to display Jesus at least keep us on the it would be really nice. And I didn't get to see the plans because they flashed by so fast. Nothing interested. Those are going to be shiny.
I don't think we'll share them in a meeting again, but they are available on the community board website. I don't know if we might be able to like help you navigate where those are on the internet.
I tried it, I thought YouTube or something.
Yeah, YouTube is just the repeat of the visual of our meeting, but on our community board website, we have PDFs of all the presentations that have come so that you can download it and have it for on your desktop forever and print it out.
It showed
Yeah, the whole presentation, yeah. So we can help you get that, and I think, we can speak to Angel, but I don't see why we wouldn't be able to post some photos in the office
So
and.
forth. Right, yeah.
And,
But-
help to share the great work that you all have been doing. I do have a question, and then I'll let anybody else ask a question. I know they had tried to give you some space at Randall's Island, and, I think someone had noted at the presentation that it was hard to get to, or it was hard to drag the boats out. Can you just help us understand where they had asked for you to use as your boat launch and why it wasn't okay?
Sure. It is on the. Some of this, it's a definite sweat over, but what we call the, I don't want to say the heart, but it's between, it's between the. I have a situation.
Oh, it's okay, no,
Um,
I don't need to know the location, but why was it
Okay.
not acceptable?
So it's very rocky. And it was not a level place to launch,
Okay,
and it was down a rock. And that is.
how heavy are the boats? You said like,
They're like, they roll on dollies, so
we can't roll a dolly over a rock. No. Okay. Well, are you open to continuing to work with Randall's Island to find a suitable location? Okay,
And my other thing about with Randall's Island, I guess some of you here, is that I'm very interested in the Native American work that's being done.
oh, yeah.
And it's also been called the people of the stuffing country. They're area, and that's really what it is, but we also. I'm very interested in what you think of people that live in environment has been done, because from what I understand, they didn't, certainly didn't use kayaks, and it's questionable about needs. But I would be very interested in bringing them into our country. And so it's something that interesting to make that such introduction.
Okay. Well, just for your knowledge, we're trying to schedule a meeting with Parks, to talk about things regarding the Esplanade. I would love to continue to ask them, how we can have a path forward together. So I'm grateful that you're here, and I think, we want to help find a solution for your team where it's not just complete removal and nothing else, right? So, I just would ask that you keep working with us on
Yeah.
that. Okay,
And CPA.
yeah, and CPA.
That's our second.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for East River Crew? Michelle?
Thank you for what you said. Personally, I would like to find out, where you're, meeting right now, like the hours. And how we could get involved, as in participate in.
Well, our group was has been so discouraged by. How. We drop these from the city. And, I guess. What we're moving sort of on one and stuff like that. People are going at, West Houston Street, that's our pier 4. And it's very interesting that there's tons of railroads and stuff that come down because they are in New York State. And New York State, and Hudson parts of all the pieces have to be water based uses. And so all this stuff about the votes aren't safe and stuff like that. It's not true, they're going up and down the part, you know. We've had the votes around Manhattan. That's not so. This idea that this piece of land as big as this room can't be set aside. And also the fact that this is the only place we can rule with the police.
Yeah.
Across.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, Russell?
So you made a statement to her. I think we get involved with the
How could I participate in getting onto the vote,
so you as an individual or we as a community, but we said we,
me as an individual?
so you, that's what I know, if we, you were offered
Well,
this to her.
yeah.
For the community as well.
I wasn't offering.
No, when you said we get involved, after we get involved.
That's not like you don't do water.
I don't think we do water.
We get
It's
involved.
it's a great question, and the answer is every Sunday. And Sunday is like after church hours, and every Wednesday we kind of have for here for the best house in the street, halfway out the sidewalk. It's free. They give you a life jacket. You must wear it. If you say that you were in the Olympics and you put the life jacket, they will say, here's your life jacket. And the other thing that's really great is there's a way that we have to, but in no case do you have to say whether or not you know how to swim. So, and we have constant training, that's training. So, you know, this isn't something that we made up.
No.
This was very-
Yeah. Thank you so much.
That's why you see this.
I know. But we're gonna work together and hopefully find a solution, and hopefully it doesn't take as long as most of these projects take, but I think, you know, we obviously want you to be able to continue, and we don't wanna see such a great program just disappear, so we'll continue to work with you and see what we can do, but thank you for being here. Are there any other parks advocacy groups here who would like to give an informational update? Any other community-based organizations? Yes.
Hi, everybody. I'll be really quick because I have to leave. My name is Nina Saxon. I am the Tenant Association President with Carver Houses. Is Parks and Recreation still on this call? Still here?
Tapashi, are you still there?
Okay, so if she's here, I hope that she can hear me.
Tapashi, can you hear us?
Might be away from.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave that responsibility for this committee, because this is real serious. So as the president of Carver Houses, we have May Grant Park, which May Grant was named after one of our tenant leaders at Carver, in East Harlem, a big tenant leader. And Parks and Recreation has been neglecting that park. The park is dirty all the time, and as a TA president, I'm looking at trash. I'm doing a trash project, which I'm working with NYCHA actually, to look at trash, and we're actually doing a good job. One of the issues, there's 3 issues. One of the issues is that it's in the middle of our housing development, which is right between 104th and 105th. I want to give a big shout out to this committee chair and Malik McCullough, who actually came to look at the park, I think it was last year.
Yeah.
Last summer. So now what's going on is that there's cobblestones, which it's not NYCHA's cobblestones, it belongs to the park. The park is neglecting to clean the cobblestones that is adjacent. They're cleaning on the 104th Street side, but they don't clean it on 105th, coming to 105th and 106th. And as you know, our park, I mean, our development is right across the street, we have Central Park. So all people walk through our development to walk their dogs. There's shit, excuse my language, species that come on there, the grass, they do not cut the grass. I spoke to a manager and the manager told me that their equipment is broken, but they're fixing it. And that's why they have it, clean, cut the grass. NYCHA did it because it was so horrible because of the smell. But the fact that the parks is neglecting this park is, I just don't understand why. Another thing is trash. There's trash under the benches, there's trash in the corners, and I actually stayed and watched this for 3 days. They have not cleaned those things up. I think it's a travesty. I think Community Board 11 should hold. I know there is budget cuts. I know things is happening. There needs to be a constructive action plan with parks to make sure that this is not happening. And the only reason why I'm saying this is that if it's happening in Carver, in a NYCHA development, where else in East Harlem that this is happening and no one is saying anything? There's kids there, they have plants, they have a plant shed with flowers in it. Sometimes they're dead rats because they're not looking into those beds to making sure that that little garden that was built from, I don't know who built it, from the parks, they're not maintaining it. We also have mats, which you guys know are not, I mean, you know what's going on, but even if they can't find the monies for that, at least clean it up.
Right. Yeah.
At least make it clean. So I'm asking this board to hold them accountable, to just clean up the cobblestone area. It should not be NYCHA's responsibility to do that because it's not their job to do it. But they do it out of courtesy because they see that my board is really being proactive around teaching tenants about trash. You know, we have like a small pilot, and we're talking about trash and trash cans. I think they need to hold themselves accountable as well. So I just need to have.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Oh, yeah, I was just gonna,
Yeah.
yeah, I was just gonna,
Sorry.
no worries. I was just gonna say, we've been doing the parks tours, we just had our first one again, but we're doing this year for community gardens, but I think it's unfortunate David and team aren't on the call today, but we can certainly reach out to them, and I think a lot of these comments were things that we wrote down last year, so I think there's sort of this track record of, you know, but I think that with parks like this, where there's multiple jurisdictions, there's always like finger pointing that goes on with who owns what and is responsible for what.
Yeah,
So-
it definitely is parks.
Yeah.
Cause I did speak to Steve on it. Those definitely is parks. But the issue is, we also have Century Park, so everybody walk their dogs. They walk it
It's
and they
bad.
do whatever they want to. Then we have outside, we have everybody.
Yeah.
So I just want them to do their part.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to, if we're gonna tell residents that we need to be more clean, then people that need to respect our property, well, you know, this public space as well. you
Yeah.
know, Respectfully, you know.
Asher?
Okay, I work for the after school program by Simpson. And we had to stop, just for anyone to know, the actual playground part also is falling apart. The paint is chipping, like we have to stop taking kids there because there's roots coming through the thing. It's a safety hazard at this point. There's trash everywhere, it's disgusting, so it's not fair.
Yeah.
And it's the closest park to us also. It's better than we have to obviously walk them now to the other parks, but that would be ideal just to go there.
Yeah, if they was to pave it, just pave it, because remember, trees grow under this park, that's why it's old, that's why you see that.
Yeah.
And so, but if they pave it, then that will also, the kids can fall and trip, so it is also a safety, hazard. But we also have a lot of seniors that use that space for recreation and stuff like that.
Rollerblading, right?
And rollerblading and stuff like that, paddleball,
Yeah.
they do a lot of stuff there, but it's starting to be inhabitable in that area, and I really will love it. You know, we're gonna do our first Juneteenth event
Yeah.
in there where we are using our books for the kids and doing a big movie inside of there. It's like a small thing. And, you know, cause I wanna utilize our green
Yeah.
space, but I just would love that the parks spend more time in these type of establishment and not paying attention because inside of a NYCHA development, I just don't think it's fair, I don't think it's right. And I would love for this committee to really set for a resolution, a constructive action plan to work with parks to make this happen.
Can I just have one quick,
Yep.
just quick comment?
And-
Is we have this problem throughout East Harlem where we have nicer parks and then less nice parks, and the nice parks end up getting crowded. No one can bring their kids there, and it ends up, that becomes a safety hazard when you cannot really see all the kids that are in the park. So I think we need to fix up some of the ones that are messed up, because it's, I shouldn't have to walk with a group of 27-year-olds all the way to Central Park
Yeah.
to go to a playground.
And it's right there. It's friendly. So
Yes.
I appreciate y'all. I'm so sorry.
No, no worries.
But I wanted to come here and just talk about it, because I love May Grant. I am gonna start with Friends of May Grant Park. Hopefully, Debbie Quinones can help me, so we can probably get more of the residents involved.
Because my
Put it to work.
phone- that's
Put it to
it.
work.
I don't
She
think
keeps
so.
tapping into my past, 104.
And I'm gonna leave, but one more thing before I leave, on August 24th, we will be doing the Graffiti Hall of Fame Day. Everyone is welcome and invited.
Nice.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yeah.
goodbye, everybody.
Take care.
Nice to see you.
Take care.
We're gonna, I know we have a lot on our agenda, so I'm just gonna move us along.
See, May Grants Park is not, I grew up when it was
All
black.
right, our first presentation is Pier 107 and Bobby Wagner Walk Project signage from New York City Parks. And if we could keep this presentation brief, that would be great. We have 2 other presentations and new and old business.
Hey Jessica, thank you so much. Just giving me a second to share the right tab. I'm also joined by Sarah Nielsen from Parks and Meredith Simon Pearson from EDC. One moment. Oh, it says you cannot start screen share while the other participant is sharing.
Where are we then?
Okay, let me try this again. Share. Sorry, bear with me. I don't normally use Zoom for work meetings, so it's been a bit.
I hear you.
I'm used to Teams. It's all Teams these days. Okay, I'm sharing Google Chrome. Okay, and now it wants me to allow permissions. Pardon me. Okay. Okay. Gosh, I apologize. You could also go to the next presentation. I don't want to hold you guys up. Yeah, it wants me to quit and reopen in order to be able to share. So I'm going to have to leave and come back. If you don't mind going to the next meeting or the agenda item. I'm sorry, I wouldn't have known it didn't let me do this until it was time. So
No worries.
be
The
right
next-
back.
The next presentation is also from New York City Parks on the Manhattan Storehouse. Oh, great. All right, well, we'll go to you first. Thank you. And as a, to set the stage, I know that you, so just to give the committee a little backstory, Steve Simon reached out about this project. It's on Randall's Island. I don't know what it is. We'll hear about it. But they are requesting a letter of acknowledgement, just saying that they presented at this committee, which we will need to ratify at executive in order to get it in time for their PDC meeting.
When
So,
is the executive this week?
I think, it's going to be 2 Tuesdays.
It's the third Tuesday, Thursday, excuse me, so the 20th.
Okay.
Wait. Yeah, sorry. I'm thinking about full boards.
I have US stay for the presentation, which.
Oh. That's gonna be a minute.
We'll see who wins.
Time.
Right. Yes.
Wow. That next one.
Real chewing. Are you Alyssa Gillick?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I'll do some intro.
Okay, perfect.
We also have some people on.
Okay, perfect. Excellent. All right, y'all, we're gonna get started. Ready? Yep.
Hello?
Hello. All right, we're gonna get started. Go ahead, Alyssa.
I'm sorry, it's Tapashi. I just have one real question. Real quick question. The person who was complaining just now, what was she complaining about? Grant
The-
Park?
Meg.
Meg Grant, Black
Meg
Park,
Grant.
104 between Madison and Park Avenue.
She was expressing her.
It wasn't a complaint, it was in.
It was a
That
complaint.
part is a mess.
All right,
Thank
thank you, Tapashi, for your question. We'll move along to our presentation. Thank you. Alyssa Gelnick from the Department of Parks and Recreation.
Hey everyone, my name is Helmut. I'm from the Department of Parks and Recreation. Gonna walk you through the proposed design for the Randall's Island Park Manhattan Storehouse. Just so you know, also we have remotely Marley Sawais, the architecture team leader, and we've got John Neely from MBB Architects, they're the consultant designer for this project. So next slide, please. Actually,
Can I ask you to speak just a little bit louder?
oh, yes, no problem.
Yeah, yes.
100%. So the purpose of this building is to have a new storehouse for maintenance and operations to replace their current inadequate storage. These are a few of the major goals. We want to design a prefabricated butler type building. Essentially, we make the components elsewhere and just kind of put it together on site. The work is going to include reconstructing an existing paved yard so that there's space for maintenance and operations vehicles, including car chargers. Additional goal of this project is to provide security and lighting. That was very big on maintenance and operations. Of course, can manage the stormwater. And to the last point, we're going to make sure we comply with everything for LEED certification. Next slide, please. So the site is located at the northwest tip of Randall's Island. Next slide. We are outside of the coastal flood zone, which is great. Next slide. We're also at stormwater risk, so that is good news. Next slide. And basically we're, within the Randall's Island Park. There's just kind of open space in the park around it. Maybe 6,000. Next slide, please. And here is just a quick reference for parks that are walkable nearby. Next slide. So this is the existing site, basically within that black dotted line. That's the site that we're looking at. We've got, it's an existing paved yard. You can see toward the top right of the site, there's really just one entry exit point. And then towards the bottom left of the site, there's an existing greenhouse. Towards the right portion of this graphic here, that's an existing citywide services building and parking lot. That's not part of our project, it's just right next to it.
The building on the side is like the hospital.
No, it's a citywide services building. This is a tree inventory. We don't have any trees within the project boundary, which makes things a little bit simple. Next slide. These are some photos of the site. On the top left, we've got a photo from that citywide services building looking at the site. You can see there's a number of shipping containers, existing greenhouse, and a number of vehicles that maintenance and operations uses. On the right, you can see that's our one existing entrance. It's really just one entry exit point as of now. That's how it works. Next slide. Here are just some additional photos. On the left, that's existing greenhouse, and on the right, looking from our site towards the existing citywide services building, which is Parks. Next slide, please. These are the vehicles that Parks maintenance and operations needs. These are the things we took into account in the design. Next slide. This is a case study we did of a Queen storehouse. We asked them what worked, what didn't work in their storehouse, so that we could incorporate those things into the design. Next slide. So here is the proposed design. Towards the right of the site, that's where we've located the storehouse, and then towards the left portion of the site, that's where we have the vehicle storage. Something very important, we now have 2 active points of access. Basically, when you get to the site, you come off Wrong Shore Road. You see that bright pink arrow at the top, you come straight down. And then at the bottom right of the site, that's where a truck would enter. That's also where park staff workers, they would also enter. The park, they're really seeing, thank you, and that's the truck parking area. No, you're totally on everything. And then, for example, park staff, they would come in, you can see there's a bike rack if they bike, and they enter the office space at the bottom portion of this building. And then to exit, go towards the top right of the site. And now we have one dedicated entry point, one dedicated exit point, so you have much safer vehicle circulation. Next slide. This is the existing fence diagram showing just what we've got on the site now. Next slide. And here's our proposed fence diagram. Importantly, the 2 separate points, one to enter, one to exit. Next slide. So these are the elevations, the facades of the building towards the top right, the north elevation, and then also top left, east elevation. Those are the facades that you're gonna really see depending on where you come from on Wrong Shore Road. So that has labeling and parks graphics to indicate that, so people know Parks building. The south elevation also has that, because that's where you enter from. That's the bottom portion from the site plan floor. Next slide. So this is the plan of the inside of the building. You don't have to go through every detail. I'm just gonna walk through quickly. We go starting on the right side of the screen. There's that skinny little portion. That's a covered yard. That's storing things for example, for recreation, pools. The main part of the building, that center portion, has a number of racks that we've gone over with maintenance and operations to make sure that we can meet their needs. And then the left portion of the building, you have towards the, let's say the bottom left of that first floor plan, a small office with a bathroom. We have utility rooms, and then there's a staircase going up to a mezzanine all the way on the left side of this slide. That is for partnerships. They're just, it just helps maintenance and operations have different areas designated for the different things that they supply in county parks. Next slide. Here's our roof plan. We're using photovoltaic panels here so that we can produce electricity for the building and help us be more green. Next slide. These are just some sections of the buildings, give you a sense of the space inside. So same as the plan, starting let's say the bottom image, starting from right to left. We have the different areas. We've got the covered yard, got the large main warehouse, most supplies for maintenance and operations. And on the left, you can see the bottom has the office, and right above it is a mezzanine with additional storage. Next slide. Here's our material palette. I'll just call your attention to a couple of important things on here. We've got on the bottom towards the right, DOT standard octagonal pole. So we're trying to coordinate with other agencies, to use their standards as well. On the left, all the way on the left, corrugated metal panel. That's the main material of the exterior. Also, bottom left, we have some towel. It's an insulating material that lets in light, so we can have daylight into the space. And on the top center, we have some low carbon concrete. Again, we're trying to reflect heat defense. Next slide. So this is our planting palette. The nearby citywide services building had previously done a project where these are the exact plants that they used, so we wanted to speak to that, we wanted to match what they've done on their site since it's right next to ours. Next slide. This is a sustainability analysis. There's a lot of information on here, just wanna note a few specific things. On the left, you see the existing site, it's an already paved site. On the right is our proposed plan. We managed to carve out a couple of green areas around where we needed vehicle circulation. And all the way on the left where we have the vehicle parking, that's where we're using concrete, so we have lighter color paving to reflect the heat. We have photovoltaic panels. We're trying to be very efficient in terms of the heating and cooling systems. Next slide, please. So here we have some before and after renderings. So this is when you're on Brown Shore Road, looking towards the northeast corner of the site. If you go to the next slide, this is the before. And so this is what it would look like in context. We have a couple more views.
Let me just flip through the views really quick.
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry, next slide.
yeah.
So this is coming from the opposite direction on Brown Shore Road. This would be before, and next slide. And this is what it would look like built. Next slide. This is a view from the other side of Brown Shore Road. This is the closest that the public would typically be, because it's, you know, there's no pedestrian access, because it's really just a building for parks, maintenance and operations. So this is what the general public is most likely to see when they're, let's say by the public restroom, which is across the river. Next slide. And so that's what they would be seeing from that area. Next slide. And that's it. And, you know, ending on the plan in case people have questions, but anyway.
I'll open up for questions, but I have a couple of my own. First, why was this location selected for this building?
That is a decision that the agency made.
Specifically, parks.
Marlisa, that was yes, Parks and Agency decision. Marlisa Wise, who is on here, might be able to have additional information.
I don't know why I'm asking.
What's her name? Marlisa Wise?
Marlisa Wise. She said she was needed,
Yes.
video blocks.
Oh, because she's a guest. I'll just promote her to Atlas.
Hello?
We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Hi, I can hear you now. It had me switching from attendee to panelist.
Did you hear the question?
Could you repeat the question?
The first question was, why was this location selected for this building?
All right, this location was selected because it is part of the citywide services compound. So it was already functionally within that site. And the Manhattan shops, our borough maintenance and operations team, is easily able to access the materials.
My second question is, what areas are the vehicles on the site serving?
The vehicles on the site serve Manhattan, as the team that is based out of the building is the Manhattan maintenance and operations crew.
So just for our collective understanding, if I could clarify, these, you have, what we're seeing are semi trucks and various other size large vehicles that are coming to this location to, you know, have storage elements transferred or whatever, and they're leaving Randall's Island Park to go out throughout Manhattan. Is that correct?
Yes, that's exactly correct.
Okay, what is your plan for like a emergency weather event such as major snowstorm?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Do you mean how will parks move materials during the storm?
Yeah, what, will these trucks and vehicles still be able to get into Manhattan to do whatever it is that they're doing in the event of a major storm? Like
I
snow-
understand the question now. No, there is no concern that that will be an issue.
Okay,
Is there a plan for them to use it?
okay, are there a couple more questions? I'll recognize Russell, and then does anyone else have questions? We can go to questions.
To redirect her or to put more emphasis on or value on her question, in the event of a snowstorm, major snowstorm, major weather patterns, what course of action will be taken to get those vehicles to continue doing their job? Or would their job be totally interrupted and locked down?
So, I'm speaking from the Capitol team, but we've been working very closely with the Manhattan Maintenance and Operations group. They have never expressed that as a concern, and it is not foreseen as a problem based on the location of this maintenance building.
You're saying that weather will not stop production or stop work?
Yes.
Our next question is Asher.
This emphasis on the grades, because especially with a facility like that, it's gonna, the air and stuff, and just good to have trees.
You asked the question? I'm sorry.
No, I was just, are you gonna plant more trees around, cause I remember a little comment about how it's perfect to build because there's no trees there. Is there gonna be trees around, built into it?
There is not a feasible area to plant trees adjacent to this property. We looked at that very carefully, and we were not able to provide trees there, both for safety, visibility of people driving in and out of the yard, and because of the dimension between the building and the sidewalk. So for a variety of reasons, this project is not able to add additional trees on site.
Michelle.
Hi, I'm curious. There was a charging station I heard in the design, and a lot about the low carbon footprint of the building materials and the insulation and the solar panels. However, all of these vehicles are gonna be gas vehicles, correct? Or the majority of them are?
No, the charging stations are here specifically because the fleet is being transitioned to an electric fleet. So there will be some vehicles that are still fossil fuel powered, and the majority are already electric, and they will be completely electric at a certain point.
Are there any other questions?
David.
David?
So it seems like making this a storage site would have things and traffic, particularly coming on and off the island at a greater frequency. And then what would also be the environmental impact of that traffic, and that, has that been, looked into the plan? This is supposed to be a place of sports and activities and recreation. And we do know that, we do need to have these vehicles. But I think Jessica's point was really one, how many of these vehicles are actually vehicles for renters, right? And again, it keeps displacing things to where people play, where people do recreation.
So I can speak to the impact of vehicles on this site. For context, the building directly across the drive that's shown there, the brown on the right hand of the screen, that is the citywide services fleet garage. So in that building, we already have vehicles coming from all over the city. It is a large scale compound. So the impact of these vehicles in the context of the operations existing already on the site is anticipated to be minimal.
Any other questions?
I do.
So what was the second part of your question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
But it was two, one was the environmental impact, but also the traffic, right? We now increase additional traffic coming on and off the island. and in that particular area, right? And we know traffic slows up other pieces of the island. You know, there's only one way to get on the island. Other than walk, where we walk more was the routes we bring to the island. So again, it's just concerned that exhaust and all these things and. Again, put it in a place that where it's supposed to be free of those things. I mean, I think the place that they actually could is good, they're already putting on property, and it's not taking away anything, but with impact.
So the question was, are there concerns with exhaust in the parks
Yeah.
generally? Just
So-
being a rec-
Yeah, I think again, for context, the building directly across the way is a large scale fleet operations base. There are many vehicles that come from all over the city to that location. So the traffic here is not anticipated to be impacted by the addition of these vehicles.
So it's a big vehicle, you know, when they stop and then start again, the exhaust.
They're just,
Well, hold on, Malik has a question, and then I have another question, and then if anyone else has a question, we can have another question.
I just wanted to understand the full operation of this storage. So, I mean, you're here, do you know,
So
like,
what's your question?
as far as specifically what's going in there for
Yeah.
people to take out of there? What, they're creating a storage space, right? So that means that they bring in a lot more stuff from wherever else
To that.
to there.
What's in there?
Yes, I wanna know what is the stuff, the things that's gonna be placed in there so that we, you know, like, I guess that'll kinda,
Understand what it's for?
yes,
Okay, I don't have an exhaustive list, but
Yeah,
I can give you
but-
some examples.
yeah, sure.
Okay, so if you go, let's say, for example, this is providing supplies for all of the Manhattan parks. So for example, the public restroom buildings, they need toilet paper, they need soap, they need people who clean those bathrooms, they need cleaning supplies, all of that is gonna be in there. They also have things for example, parks partnerships, let's say, Parks runs an event and people are raking leaves or, let's say, picking up trash from a trail. So, they're gonna have rigs, they're gonna have gloves to hand out to people, those will be stored, taken for the event and then put back. They also, supply cleaning supplies and, for example, paint for pools, recreation, and those sort of programs. Is that helpful? So-
Yeah, so when you mentioned pools, you didn't mean earlier, you mentioned for pools, you meant Manhattan pools, not
It's-
Randall's Island pool, because I didn't know that Randall's Island. Does Randall's Island have a pool?
Island is usually-
Randall's Island's part of New York City.
Manhattan.
No, I know that is, I understand that, I'm talking about in Randall's Island, it's not a pool in.
Oh,
Randall's
gotcha,
Island.
yes, correct, there's not one there. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
General.
It was general for Manhattan.
It's the
the pools.
supplies for all of the parks in Manhattan, so that they can have a good storage space to actually maintain and provide all the things for these parks.
And it's the central, like the one for Manhattan,
Yeah,
period.
that's, yeah.
So wherever they're storing stuff now will be centralized there.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Where's that?
Now it's in Sarah D. Roosevelt. It's a very small space and they don't have a proper racking system. So for example, we might have one pallet stacked on another. You can't access the items on the lower pallet. You can only take from the top. So that's
Where did you say it was located?
Sarah D. Roosevelt. I'm blanking on the exact address now.
But approximately.
Is it in like,
It's further south.
So
South,
okay,
Roosevelt, like, at the island.
No,
Roosevelt.
not Roosevelt Island, but Sarah D. Roosevelt, it's a park.
it's in
It's
Manhattan,
in
but
Manhattan.
lower Manhattan.
Although, yeah, it's
Okay.
further south and it's really an inadequate space for what they need to actually service the Manhattan parks.
What would happen to that?
Hold on. A follow-up question to Malik's question. Can we stop the crosswalk? There's a, Malik, there was in the plan a flammable, substances area. What sort of flammable substances are being kept here?
So some of the paint, some oil-based paints, and then some other materials, we specifically talked with M&O to figure out how much, what amount of, let's say, more flammable materials they have so that we could properly exhaust that area and keep everything safe.
Okay, and before I go on to more questions, I had one question. How much does this building cost?
Have to.
Marlisa, are you still here with us?
Capital,
Hello.
hey,
Yes, the question was how much, or at least how much does this project cost? How much does the building cost? Marlisa, are you?
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm here. I'm just also dealing with two small children. I apologize.
No worries, no worries.
So I do not have the budget for the building offhand, but we can get that to the board.
Sounds good, thank you.
Michelle?
I was curious, what is happening to the space that everything is gonna be taken out of? Or is that going to be also used? The one on SD, Roosevelt,
Sarah D. Roosevelt.
Sarah D. Roosevelt, is that also gonna be used as a storage space as well? Or will that
The
be?
agency is currently exploring several options for that, which would range from maintenance and operations to a community-based facility. There has not been a final determination made on what that building will be used for.
And there's a follow-up question to that, what's happening to the greenhouse that is on that space right now? And what type, because that's adding filtration to the air that's already there, and so minusing that, what's gonna happen to it?
So in talking with, maintenance, in talking with maintenance and operations, they've indicated to us that will be given to the educational center. We don't have a lot of details on exactly what, we don't have a lot of details on that. If there's interest, then we can certainly ask them some additional questions to get more information.
Joel?
So, is this a done deal?
I know what you.
it has to be because we only get an acknowledgement.
And, so
Their
that,
TDC review is on the 18th of this.
sorry,
TDC review.
and, yeah, there's a real concern in terms of the environmental thing. Thank you, David, thank you, Michelle, in terms of the possible environmental impact. So, yeah, I'm concerned about that. So, thank you for this, coming here and requesting a letter of acknowledgement, but, beyond that, there's this board, there's this committee having a say in this project moving forward.
Marlisa?
So there's some serious concern in terms of the environmental impact. I think we expressed that.
Yeah.
And the person speaking on Zoom saying, you believe, this is your belief, this is your belief, but is there data, that supports your belief?
And the question was, does the community have any say in this project, and is there any data in the environmental concerns?
I don't think Marlisa is
Okay.
here.
So I'll check on that. I am not as familiar with
Right.
detailed working, parts, and community board interactions, so I do actually, I don't want to give you wrong information, so.
Thank you.
I'll try that.
Thank you, Joel, for your question. Asher, and then I have one last question, and then I'd like to tell you an idea.
All right. You already went kind of where I was gonna go, but I have a problem with the fact that this community is known to have one of the highest asthma rates within all of New York City. And Randall's Island is one of the few green spaces that are our own. We have our kids go there during the summer. It's a very special place. We've already lost some field space because of the hurricane. It's a concern because the greenhouse is probably gonna get moved. And the concentration of all this stuff going in and out of the facility is it's a major concern, and my problem is with people coming here, and this isn't directed towards you specifically. Is people coming here asking for letters of acknowledgement, saying that they let us know that this was happening, but not really asking us how we truly feel about it, or taking into consideration how people feel about it. So, and I don't think we should be giving them just a letter of acknowledgement saying that they came here, told us that they're doing this. And I think that unless they're gonna, like, we need to put some conditions on this if we're gonna give them what they want. Because negotiation, we're not just gonna give everyone what they want.
Thank you, Asher. My final question is for Donna. If there are any concerns from Randall's Island Park for operations of this scale coming in and out of the park,
Does she know about it?
Donna,
Hi.
did you hear my question?
Yeah, no, we're aware of the storehouse coming to Randall's Island.
And you're not concerned about the scale of the trucks and operations coming in and out of the park?
No, I mean, quite frankly, we have many vehicles right now with these types of vehicles with a lot of our sister agencies that have these types of vehicles on the island as well. Right there where they're planning on having the storehouse is our garage, is Parks's garage. Where we have many of the vehicles that come in and out, where they're being fixed, and we don't necessarily have any concerns with that, to be honest with you.
Thank you, Donna.
And actually, also, is this site is owned by Parks? Is there public access in terms of like any constituent can access this site right now? Not really,
like,
just workers?
Yeah,
and
it's really just work, there's no sidewalk, it's blocked off by a fence.
So the greenhouse is already not inaccessible to members of the public, it's really
Right.
just for workers?
There's
Okay.
no public programs there.
Thank you.
And Parks does own the site?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
it's a pretty huge compound right now, and the site that they're going to be, proposed building the storehouse is already loaded with vehicles. Any new vehicles that come in for Parks, they're already inside this, this fenced-in area. And that's where they actually need to secure the vehicles. So, honestly, I mean, I don't have any concerns. I don't believe Dave has any concerns, or Five Borough either.
Thank you, Donna.
You're welcome.
Yeah, the only thing is, I get that those vehicles are there at the moment. But when you have one central location for everything, that means more vehicles, it will be more frequent and everything, more traffic will be coming in and out. Because it's the one place that they have to go to get those different materials to then disperse them. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, just to make sure that that's on record.
So the reasons why I personally asked the questions that I asked were because we had asked if a site on Randall's Island could be used for the Department of Sanitation project.
Right.
This scale of a project, 8,600 square feet of a building with space enough for multiple semi trucks to park and navigate on the site, makes me believe as an architect that you can fit a building the size of a dual district sanitation garage on this location. And that the reasons that we were told why a dual district sanitation garage could not go at this location was because of the access to Randall's Island Park. The fact that that would be serving garages in Manhattan and that trucks would not be able to get from Randall's Island to Manhattan. And especially in the event of an extreme storm or snow event, which we've learned today is not a concern. So I personally have a concern with not only, I don't have a concern with this project, but I have a concern that this land is being slated for a project that is not the project that we asked for when we were told all the reasons why it could not go here is not a concern for a similarly scaled project here. So I would like, and I don't know if you agree,
No, we agree, we already know where we're going.
You're saying we're all thinking.
Yeah, I'm angry.
Everything, you get to be angry because you're chair. We have to like.
Okay, so how would we like to proceed? Would we like to provide
No,
yeah,
oh,
a
oh, I
letter
thought
of
you,
non-support? What is that called?
oh, okay. Yeah, thought you were saying letter of no. My bad. So, I mean, for me, I feel like everyone has the same sentiment as you. It's just, obviously, it has nothing to do with
No,
your presentation or anything like
Thank you so
that.
much for your.
Like Jessica said, if they could do this scale of a project, they can definitely do the dual sanitation garage that we have asked them for years now. So.
So you just make a motion to deny the letter of acknowledgement, right?
Was there more you wanted to say?
Yeah, yeah, Dave, you wanted to ask?
I don't think just denying it.
But-
I think that we have to acknowledge
That's a
kind
start,
of what you just said, just.
yeah, just a
And
start.
I thought that's where Jewel was going as well, because this has been a battle in trying to find it, and you know what? The land that they're using is right here in this community now, right? And you know, it's funny, I drive down from the Bronx every day, and those sanitation trucks 8 and 10, 11, you see them getting off on 138th Street in that little Madison Avenue Bridge. So what do you mean you can't get to the island? So I think we need to write that we do not acknowledge the presentation, we do not acknowledge the work of the presentation in lieu of what has been and everything we kind of.
Okay.
We do not support that,
Right.
We have challenge, we have challenges based on what's being proposed. We had one proposed that would be a better, of greater environmental protection for 2 communities.
Yep.
In my
Park.
opinion.
Yes, the sanitation system, in community board 10 and 11. We've been housed over here, and that's what I proposed at least 15 years ago.
So thank you for acknowledging all the things that you said.
I've been
Raising your hand.
I've been waiting patiently for a very long time. Can we give a letter of non-support directly to the Public Design Commission?
So the problem is that the PDC meeting that they're having is happening before our executive committee. So whatever we do here will not be ratified until 2 days after their meeting. So that's my only concern, but would it be a letter of?
And the letter would be addressed to the chair or CEO of PDC and SCPDC.
I'm not giving Parks recognizing that they presented. Is Parks gonna go to PDC and say they didn't, we presented, but they're not giving us a letter of recognition? Does that carry our weight? Probably not. So I'm just trying to be practical, but can we go to the Public Design Commission meeting when it's presented?
Can I add to what she's saying? It could be like we all must feel that those that know about the project confused on how a project of equal or some level equal to what we're proposing is totally denied for reasons that don't exist now. How can we in good conscience say we could acknowledge it, support it, and we have a greater good that we've been proposing for, that if this option doesn't present itself for us, that our neighborhoods for forever, we'll have 2 sanitation places. So how do we acknowledge that in lieu of the new finding, we're confused? So how can we in our confusion logically agree to anything when we're confused? We would be making an unjust support or acknowledgement.
David?
So as executive is 2 days after the meeting, and we would not, in the past, this has happened, where the executive has gotten together at an ad hoc time to, and it would, I guess, be the chair that would have to call that meeting. Could meet
Refuse.
and make it, and then it's then ratified later on. We have done that, we had an event at East Home Center, and there were enough board members, enough executive there. NILSA brought us together and we voted on, I don't even remember what it was, but we voted on something and then it was ratified later on. So it can be done for the meeting. And I think that that's very important. And I will say this, in lieu of the projects that we're talking about in these two things and the magnitude, and I'm no longer on executive, y'all need to get together.
I would suggest that if we could propose in lieu that we now know that the elimination of environment or with the weather hazard not being a hindrance, that we would want to consider. If that, our project could coexist with it. Because I was asking for something where it could be landfilled at the time, as opposed to.
I just have to say, I just wrote, like, it's like the committee appreciates the presentation that has inadvertently refuted all of the grounds of the lack of support for our original proposal. So with that being said, it's difficult to accept this project when we would continue our support for the dual station. Because that's basically what's happened. They refuted everything that you have said that we proposed.
Right,
Yeah.
one moment, and then I'll go to Cleve.
I was gonna say Marlisa and Donna have their hands raised.
Okay, I'll go to Donna and then Marlisa.
Donna, go ahead.
Sorry.
Sorry, she might have been struck.
Hi, I want to make something very clear. That's my opinion. I do not make the decisions when it comes to major projects like this. So I just wanted to make that very clear.
Thank you, Donna. Melissa?
Marisa?
Marlisa?
So,
Sorry.
Hi, yes, Marlisa. So I think there's been a lot of really important points raised here, many of which, sweetie, you need to wait. I'm sorry. Many of which we did not have the appropriate parks staff at this meeting to answer fully. And I understand the board's dissatisfaction with some of the answers that we've given. I think we didn't have the maintenance and operations staff here to speak most in detail and comprehensively to the needs, the numbers of vehicles that will be going here. And we also didn't have, some of the context for the proposals that the community has made in the past for this site. So understanding that we will, of course, not be getting a letter of approval today. We do want to continue this conversation. So I think it would be really helpful at the end of this meeting if we could find a way to follow up and eventually, once we have a better dialogue and understanding of the needs, come back to another future meeting.
Thank you. And with that suggestion, we really appreciate that. And again, it's nothing to do with this specific project or your presentation. I think it's a great presentation and it's just unfortunately, there are greater needs that have been turned down for the same reasons that we have been talking about are not an issue for this specific project. And they were city promised, commitments to our district for the points of agreement from our 2017 rezoning that are very important to us as a community. So I just would ask, is there a way for you all to postpone the PDC meeting so that we can formulate a response with our process so that we can.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much. All right. Asher?
Okay, what I think we should do is, I liked what Debbie said about the, correct me if I'm wrong. We acknowledge that they did come here, but also saying we don't want to support this project because of the promises that have been made to us, have been turned down from previous proposals, and see if they could reschedule the.
Yeah,
is it
they will.
PDC?
They said they will.
Okay, and then just bring it to executive, because at this point, the sanitation garage has been,
So is that a proposal right there, or you, a motion?
Yeah, oh, yeah, right, sorry.
Can
Can I make a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay, motion to write a letter to is it
PDC.
PDC. Stating that we acknowledge that Parks came and presented to us on this project today, however, we do not feel comfortable supporting this project due to
Information that has been reviewed.
information that we have been turned down in the past. To have other projects on the same space, on a similar scale.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but sorry, just before we second, I just want to make sure. I know, I find it extremely difficult too, so I don't think it's anyone's fault. But I just want to make sure I have it clearly, and I think it needs to incorporate all of the nuance of the sanitation commitments and the process that we've gone through.
Due to the sanitation garage
Yeah.
being turned down.
And the
That's
reasons
it.
why
That's
being
why.
X. Okay.
The reasons,
Why?
yeah, the
You're
reason.
the architect now.
The reasons that were presented to this community board for refusal to support it are now the same factors that are being promoted for support for this.
Yes.
And then you do it.
Okay, so motion to write a letter to PDC stating acknowledgement of the presentation with disapproval
Right,
for the project
in light of.
due to, yeah, I guess the previously
Mention.
proposed, thank you. Dual district sanitation garage.
The indicators that were proposed, something like that, right? Because it's kind of like, they said no because of the weather, no because of the traffic, and then these are the same things that they're telling us
Given that the
to
reasons
support.
This is the reason why.
for the
That
denial.
we should support it, so it's kind of, kind of like if somebody's not paying attention, it's kind of like, yeah, let's go with that. So is that what you're saying about the bottle?
Okay, so, sorry, what I have is after Rodriguez made a motion to write a letter to PDC stating acknowledgement of the presentation with disapproval for the project due to the previously proposed dual district sanitation garage. Guys, motion, please. Do I have to start over?
Yeah.
We made a motion to write a letter to PDC stating acknowledgement of the presentation with disapproval for the project due to the previously community proposed dual district sanitation garage, given that the reasons for the denial of this location have been deemed no longer an issue.
Do you need to repeat that, or that sounds?
To support
Is
this
that
project,
okay? Do you want to
Yeah.
know?
to support that project,
Okay, to
right?
support this project, yes.
It wasn't good to support us.
Right.
And again, it's again the citywide taking the property in the community, even though you own it, it's still.
Okay,
So
so
we'll just keep
the
that.
motion was made by Asher,
That's right.
seconded by Russell, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm sorry that we went in this direction, but
Private.
There's definitely project history that is impacting.
yeah,
say thank you.
yes, thank you.
No, really, because you've just given us the ammunition.
Thank you all online.
Oh, yes.
And we'll go to our next presentation, which was the previous presentation for the signage at Pier 107.
Hi, Jessica. Let me try this again.
Sorry about that.
Go.
Yeah, gotta come.
Shucks.
Maximize my window. Can you guys see okay?
Yeah, but 1 second, please, maybe 1 second, let me just,
Uh-huh.
turn the CSP stick, I don't wanna just pull it out.
All these
This is the best meeting.
The what?
This has been the best meeting.
That's why.
Tell them that.
After you done shushing everybody there.
All right, go ahead,
Thank you.
Okay,
Very-
great. Fabulous. If I do this, is it easier to see?
yes, this is great.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
And again, I
Well,
think-
thank you so much for having us. I realize my camera's not on, but I'm not going to even introduce more tech issues. So you know what I look like. I'm here from Parks, joined by Sarah Nielsen, as well as Meredith Simon Pearson from EDC. we have a really quick item for you guys. It's just a few slides, and it's just kind of a temperature check to talk about interpretive signage. Nothing has been designed yet. We're just trying to think ahead of time about some ideas for what signage themes you might like to see along the East River Esplanade, some possible locations, and kind of use this up as an opportunity to brainstorm and see if there's anything else you think could be worthwhile to people who are walking around. So I'll just give a bit of background to the interpretive signage design guidelines shown here. This is the standard parks criteria. Essentially, the signs will have pictures and text, and typically we try to explain things with a call out option, a box, and they're kind of standard. What is flexible is the content. And I just wanted to give a bit of background about what we feature in our signs. So the criteria for what is featured is that the sign represents something that is specific to the place and the site where the sign is located. So if you're standing there looking at a sign, the sign will represent something that occurred here, not somewhere nearby in the neighborhood, but specifically along a stretch where you can see a place. It can't be referencing something kind of more metaphorical. Really, we prefer to have it referencing either a place or an object that you're looking at, maybe the esplanade that you're standing on or the river you're looking at, for example, or events that took place on the exact location. So in this case, a sign might focus on the river, its maritime history, the history of the pier and its past uses and iterations, or even, a local bridge and the history of that. So just a little bit of background there. And we do mount our signs either on a railing or in a freestanding mounting. They're ADA accessible, 36 inches wide and 24 inches high. And they have a laminate kind of image to protect them from the elements. So just a bit of background where we might kind of mount them in the project. And for those of you who are familiar with the project, these locations might look familiar. For those of you who aren't, I'll just give a bit of background. Our project goes from 96th Street up to 107th, including Pier 107, and then it resumes again between 117th and 124th Street. We're working with two sections of Esplanade and a pier. So basically the idea here is that the signs could be located in places of congregation and most activity. So initially we were kind of imagining the two overlooks as places where people would naturally gather and want to learn a little bit more about a particular topic, as well as the pier itself. There could also be signs, for example, near the 96th Street entrance or the 124th Street exit. It just depends kind of on what we feel would be the best and most likely location for people to naturally gather. And for those of you who haven't seen our previous presentations, the overlooks, they're essentially bump outs that are on the Esplanade. They're like little areas where you can stand out over the water and have a better view. So they're natural places where you might be able to look at something a little closer. So my last slide here, as I mentioned, this is pretty short, is just possible ideas for what these signs could feature. So I'll just talk through these kind of off the top of my head. There's land topography and natural history. So this might be the history of the river itself, how the creek that flowed under the neighborhood was over time covered over, how the river had been blasted to make way for shipping. That might be an example. And what's also interesting is the ecology of the area. So here we could feature what lives in the river, what kind of critters you could find, fish, crustaceans, oysters, etc. Features on those, or fauna. Sorry, that would be fauna, and flora would be what kind of plantings you might see along the Esplanade itself. For the history, we could look at the RFK Bridge and kind of detail when that was built, by whom, and the strategy. Similarly for the pier and the Esplanade, especially for the pier, once it is reconstructed, it will look very different. So having a photo of that pier in its original form, perhaps even including images of the pier in its first iteration as a garbage dump, would be kind of interesting and informative. And then of course the Esplanade will be raised for sea level rise and also include a bike lane now. So it might be useful to see photos of it in the past if that's of interest. And then lastly, the new design does have a lot of logic behind it. And for example, those ecological features within the Pier Cove might be of interest. The Esplanade itself has various plantings that each are selected based on their suitability for the marine salt spray. So it might be kind of a neat opportunity for folks to learn more about why these species, how will they look around the year, you know, why is this place unique? So that's just a kind of initial thought we had. We really wanted to know what you guys would like to learn about here. What are we missing? Do you have any other suggestions? Just really wanted to make it an open kind of suggestion opportunity. And that's it. And of course, Sarah and Meredith, feel free to chime in if there's anything else you'd like to add for background.
Yeah, just gonna actually ask Aaron to remember first. Anything else from the project team?
No, I think Mary did a great job, and we're just very curious to hear what you all suggest. And we don't have to decide tonight. We just kind of wanted to put this out on the table to the group.
Great, thank you so much, Debbie.
I think that you should definitely do a land acknowledgement or something that's related to the Lenape, because as much as I really want to know about the RFK bridge, I really don't care. I care more about that acknowledgement.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to be funny, I'm just trying to be factual in terms of balanced information.
She says it.
Thank you.
That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Terrific.
Are there
Thank
any
you. Thank you very
ideas?
much.
You know, we're just thinking of specific to East Harlem, maybe notable people or cultural events or something, you know. Yeah, who cares about the history?
Or in terms of like this, East Harlem is the site of the Giglio or something like that?
Yeah, well, I think Jewel, may I speak?
Go ahead.
Oh, actually,
What do you
sorry,
say?
I couldn't quite hear. I heard notable people, historical events, and then I couldn't hear the.
So the
last-
the people online cannot hear us because we're all talking over each
Yeah.
other, so. Jewel Jones noted context specific to East Harlem, like, for example, notable people, and events. And then I'm gonna go to Malik.
Yeah, I think we're, correct me if I'm wrong, Jewel, I think, where she wanted to go with it is like the history of East Harlem. Something like that. Also, y'all have an architect that's building like a bench there. Are they gonna have like signage, like what, you know, for where his thoughts were about how that bench is gonna, you know, come to life as well? So I think specifically, highlighting East Harlem in the community, I don't know where you wanna put these things, but certainly things that will highlight East Harlem. As far as, you know, interpretive signage so that so that people can read up and know, because once you build it, they will come, right? So more people will come over and, you know, try to learn. And these are the times that they can learn. They might not have a tour guide, and the signage can be kind of like their tour if we have multiple different things. Now, I mean, we don't know at the moment, but I think that's the lane that you should go at. And I think that's what Jules was trying to say.
Thank you, Malik. I have one more suggestion and then I'll let anyone else, before we move on, but, I know when the artist was here, he was talking about how, the old, like 100, y'all, the bench and art is located at 106th Street, which we know is the location of an historic waterway, right? That's been covered up by Manhattan. So I think we talked about at that previous meeting about how any signage and information about the art piece could call attention to that and the flooding concerns and the, you know, further work that is needed and as it relates to environmental justice in East Harlem could be another great idea.
Interesting.
Anything else? David, and then.
So, you know, we had one of our board members for many years that, you know, chaired this committee and has devoted her life to the Esplanade. And maybe some information about how she supported these projects for decades. And yes, Francis Schroeder. And, you know, I like the piece when, you know, when the artist came here and presented, you know, he took into account the community, the history. And he was trying to tell a story, his artwork, and so felt enriched by what he was proposing. I think the idea that's been presented here is to enrich what East Harlem has been, the community of immigrants, right? And that should be the story that we tell, how people have come to this neighborhood. And to this land, but also recognizing.
I think this is so great. This is Sarah from Parks. This is so great. We've been so focused with Jerome on his work, and then we've had the signage question as kind of like a separate bucket. And so I'm so glad we came to talk to you guys tonight, because this is exactly, of course, we need to go talk to Jerome about this. And like he has all that great research. So I think it's excellent direction. So really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, we have two more items, Russell and then Mary now.
What I think I'm hearing and what I'm feeling is having a story told about this place called East Harlem that's in New York City, not New York City. This is a place called East Harlem.
Thank you, Russell. Mary now?
Yeah, but, Mr. Something facetious, I could imagine there would be time where it would say, here on the spot was a portal where free rowing was available to public for X number of years.
Yeah.
And it is no longer available because X, Y, Z.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. I think that's a great idea. I think acknowledging the former East River Crew site is another potentially, I know that wasn't one of the locations, but it could be added.
She did say that she would be interested in probably adding one.
Okay, great. Oh, yeah, okay, great. All right, I think that's all the suggestions that we have for you today, but I think we'll continue to pass along any information that we have for you all, and hopefully we'll talk to you very soon.
Thank you. And I realize I did forget to mention another angle. I know you mentioned history a lot. There's also the opportunity to feature any kind of history of maritime use along the space. We haven't looked into this too much, but if the piers, for example, that had been there previously had any kind of economic history, I hear that you want to hear neighborhood history, and we'll try to focus on, what happened in that space if we can, with adding a bit of background about East Harlem, of course. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Real quick,
Appreciate
there
it.
was a fire here in East 90th Street.
East 90th Street.
That has a really interesting background to it.
Fireboat Pier?
Yeah.
Okay. A fireboat pier used to exist at 90th Street, apparently.
Oh, okay. Thank you. We'll write
Thank
that
you.
down.
All right, I know we're over on time here. We're gonna keep it moving. We have one last presentation for the Harlem Mere Boardwalk, Shoreline and North End recirculation projects from Central Park Conservancy, who's requesting a letter of support. And given that this is our last meeting, I'm hoping that we can give it to them today, because it does relate to previous motions that we've made as a community board, as a committee, relating to the flooding and DEP grants that we've been a part of. Is someone here from Central Park Conservancy?
Yes, so I'm Sandy Huber from Central Park Conservancy. I think Diane is going to share the presentation. I'm here with two of my colleagues, Bob Rumsey, who leads our landscape architecture studio, and Diane Jackier, who leads our planning and program management group. And so I'm going to just kick us off very quickly on a project that I think everyone is very familiar with, which is our construction at the Harlem Mere Center, because this work, which is the continued restoration of the shoreline, and that Bob is going to speak about, and then Diane is going to speak about the recirculation project, is really a continuation of our work at the Harlem Mere Center. So Diane, if you just want to go to the next slide, I'll go through these very quickly. I think everyone here is familiar with the project site, the area. Next slide. And then just to highlight kind of specifically the areas in this north section of the park that we're going to be talking about. Again, the Harlem Mere Center, the Boardwalk and Shoreline, and then the pool and ravine area. And the next slide. I think a little bit of lag there. There we go. So this was a condition of the park. I'm sure everyone remembers. This was right as we started demolition in September of 2021. And you can go to the next slide. We have an Earth Cam camera right across the street, and this is the current condition. So it's really exciting. You know, we look forward to coming back later in the year with more updates. But as I'm sure anyone who's been anywhere near this area of the park can attest, there has been lots of activity and lots of progress. You can go to the next slide. Just a few shots here of the pool. We've been pouring for the pool. You can go to the next slide. Just some more shots of the pool. It's just really exciting. You know, we're all really looking forward to the conclusion of this project, which right now we're targeting to wrap up in the first quarter of 2025. So again, you know, more to come on that for everyone here. And then you can go to the next slide. And then I'll just tee up the two projects that we're specifically bringing here today to talk with the group on the project goals. These were the same goals. I'm not going to read through them in the interest of time. Everyone can see them. But these were also the same goals that we came with for the Harlem Center. And then again, they just continue on with these two projects here. So I will turn it over to Bob, who is going to speak about the shoreline.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having us. Thank you, Sandy. So I'm going to talk about the restoration of the work around the Harlem shoreline. First, I'll get into a little bit of history next. The location of the park where the Mere is located from 106 to 110th Street was added to the footprint of Central Park's original plan through the advocacy of the park designers, Olmsted and Vaux, to better incorporate the existing natural features of the park. Next. This early park photograph highlights the Mere's designed natural edge along its northern shore with open views and water access. Next. This view from the 1920s illustrates the rock outcroppings along the southern shore that created the Mere's original edge condition in this location. And you can just note that there was no path at that time. Next. In the first half of the 20th century, the character of the Mere changed considerably through a series of projects, including the addition of a shoreline perimeter path, perimeter fencing, and a boathouse structure constructed on the north side of the water body. Next. In the mid-60s, the Lasker Pool and Rink facility was constructed, which further reduced the footprint of the Mere. Next. This image from the 1980s demonstrates the decline in the area of the park and was one of the first areas of focused restoration by the Conservancy. Next. This work has included naturalizing the edge of the Mere, building of the Dana Center. Next. And other improvements, including playground restorations. So next, I'll get into the existing conditions. The existing hardscape conditions around the Mere reflect work that was done around 1990 by the Conservancy, which reconstructed surrounding paths. Since then, small sections of path have been reconstructed in conjunction with work at East 110th Street and East 108 playgrounds to create accessible paths. Next. Sorry, go back one, I'm sorry. The shoreline conditions also reflect the 90s work, with some portions having been naturalized and others still defined by the concrete retaining wall. Invasive plants have found a strong foothold around much of the shoreline in recent years and needs to be addressed. Next. This final existing conditions images that we wanted to share is the aerial photograph of the Mere and Lasker prior to the work of reconnecting the water bodies and of reconstruction the new Harlem Mere Center. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so the shoreline restoration that we're going to talk about, the work that will be completed as part of the Harlem Mere Center is highlighted in the white dashed line, and the Mere restoration work that we are updating you on will encompass the entire remainder of the shoreline in the black lines. The work will be completed in phases to maintain access to as much of the Mere as possible at any given time. The scope, asphalt paths will be reconstructed, invasive plants will be removed and replaced with aquatic plantings, lighting infrastructure updated, and bench upgrades made with integrated companion seating. When complete, the entire path around the shoreline of the Mere will be accessible, and we are reviewing opportunities to expand access to the water for all. We've broken the restoration plan down into 5 sections that we'll quickly walk through, starting with the northwest accessibility and path restoration, and then go clockwise around the Mere. We can come back to any of these sections if there are questions after my presentation. Next. So just want to, as we go through these slides, this key map in the upper right will show you where the area is that I'm talking about. So we're in the northwest shoreline area. The primary work here is that the asphalt path will be realigned and reconstructed to create an accessible route to the new Harlem Meir Center from 110th Street and also from the drive. Next. This drawing is a section of the accessible path down from the drive, creating the accessible route to the Harlem Meir Center. This design solution is very similar to the accessible path that was constructed at the Dairy a few years ago. Next. The north shoreline between Lenox Avenue and the Dana Center, the path will be along the shoreline will be realigned and regraded to make it fully accessible, as well as to create an accessibility at the existing Meir shoreline access point. Diane, if you could just point that area out. Here.
Sorry, Bob, which point? Where do you want
the area right in the middle of where the right there, yeah,
right here?
the white area where it meets the Meir.
You know where you're talking about.
Just here, right? Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
In addition, the Meir shoreline will be expanded by removing a strip of upland area covered with invasive plants and restoring with new aquatics and shoreline plantings. Next. So we're the east shoreline, northeast, kind of starting in the northeast corner of the park, adjacent to the shoreline restoration work at the east shoreline. The paths and benches leading to Duke Ellington Circle were restored as part of the 108th Street playground work to create accessibility. South of the playground, the path, this work will include path that will be repaved and made accessible. And additionally, the existing shoreline beach will be repaired and stabilized. Next. There we go. The Southeast Cove, which is adjacent to the Conservatory Garden. The full depth of the cove within the Meir will be reestablished in this area, in addition to the shoreline plantings and paving work. The shoreline path to the west will be realigned and regraded to create an accessible connection from Fifth Avenue and the Conservatory Garden to the Meir shoreline path. Next. And then some sections of the proposed work. This is a sort of a typical section, shoreline section, illustrating how the invasive Phragmites has overtaken the emergent aquatic planting. Next. The idea is that the restoration will remove those and reestablish the emergent aquatic areas. Next. This is the condition we were talking about along the northern shoreline, where the path and access to the water adjacent to the Meir are currently non-accessible due to the steep grades. The path will be realigned. Path will be realigned and regraded at this location to create an accessible overlook at the shore. Next. And then adjacent to this area where the path requires realignment, we'll create accessibility. The edge will be softened and an aquatic planting shelf created in the water. Next. At the south shoreline and boardwalk, this area is really a continuation of our current boardwalk and shoreline path design at the Harlem Meir Center. So similarly, portions of the paths will be replaced with boardwalk gratings that will float out over the water, and the paths will be updated from asphalt to from their current screenings material. The sections of the concrete perimeter will be removed to expand the Meir and create emergent aquatic planting zones. You can go ahead, Diane, it's fine. So this is an existing section, a typical section of what that area looks like. It illustrates that the kind of the Meir shoreline and the edge condition that exists really from the 1990s work. Next. The proposed reconfiguration lowers the retaining wall in the Meir. It removes all of that fill that was once put in and establishes aquatic plantings and the Meir lapping up to the outcrop and exposes that outcrop. But next. And just to give you an idea of what this looks like, this is a rendered perspective looking south across, illustrating the design intent of the boardwalk and its relationship to the Meir. Next. Here's a rendered perspective of this experience of walking east on the boardwalk. Next. And finally, this is a photograph of the boardwalk that is currently under construction as part of the Harlem Meir Center. We are waiting for the guardrails to be installed, and it will open with the Harlem Meir Center project. And with that, I'll turn it over to Diane.
Great. Thank you, Bob. So just give me a second. My computer's being a little difficult. Hi, everybody. I am Diane Jackier. I'm the Vice President for Program Management at the Central Park Conservancy. I'm going to present this second project that we have for you tonight, which is called the North End Recirculation System. This is an incredibly impactful, exciting project, but as Sandy very rightfully so says, this is something that you will really not ever see or be very aware of in terms of sort of a beautiful new building or landscape restoration in the park. A lot of it involves underground infrastructure, but there's some amazing benefits, which I'll go into in a few minutes. So just to give you a little bit of information related to this system, on the left is the existing conditions plan that we have. And so for those of you who don't know, the North End water bodies that we have in the park include the pool, the lock, and the mere. They were built between 1862 and 1865 as an interconnected water system. And what we have is basically city potable water that comes in from a location along the East 97th Street Transverse Road that feeds the water into the pool. There's also a small amount of water that comes in from Central Park West around 101st Street. And so that water comes into the pool, flows through the lock by gravity, and then into the Harlem Mere. It actually flows out of the park into a combined sewer along Fifth Avenue. And so what we're proposing now is to create what's called a closed loop system. And so instead of the water flowing out onto Fifth Avenue, we would have a series of pipes and pumps that would pump the water back to a location just south of the 100th Street pool. The water would then again flow down to the pool by gravity, through the lock, through the mere, and then come back up. So we would be turning off those inflows at 97th Street and from Central Park West and 101st. One thing I did just want to note is that we are going to be really careful when we create these systems of pipes. We're not going to be taking down any trees here. We're going through lawn and pathways. So there will be no impact to the trees. And also just wanted to mention, this is an incredibly complicated engineering project. There's going to be a system of, filters and vaults and everything. So a lot of that will also be a part of what we are installing here. And I'll show you just a few things in a little bit. Just to give you a little bit of background, the idea of a recirculation system has been around for a really long time. There are references to it from some of the 1865, Central Park Board of Commissioner reports, shows how truly revolutionary Olmsted and Vaux were and how truly ahead of their time they were. The idea sort of never came to fruition, but did come around again in 2000 when New York City DEP did a water quality management report that looked to see whether or not a recirculation system would be possible in all of Central Park. That project did not move ahead at the time just because of cost and physical barriers in the park. But the idea did again reemerge in 2016 when DEP reached out to the Central Park Conservancy to see if a recirculation system could be possible because of DEP's citywide efforts to reduce city potable water usage. They were installing low flow toilets in NYCHA buildings and all these other things. And they identified this here at Central Park as an area that could potentially be helpful. The Central Park Conservancy did a feasibility study at the time, really focusing just at the north end, realized that it was something that was possible. And that's how we got to where we are today. So just quickly wanted to go through some additional information. What's really great is that this recirculation system will manage about 204 acres of the water, the stormwater in the park. It's about 30% of the park's acreage, which is really great. And then this slide shows the incredible benefits that our models have shown will come to fruition from this project. So one thing that's pretty incredible is we would save approximately 480,000 gallons of potable water a day going through the park. That will calculate into 175 million gallons of potable water saved a year, which is a pretty amazing number. In addition, we are looking at a potentially 90% reduction in water going into the combined sewers during rain events. So that would save about 67 million gallons of water a year. This is really where we think it will help the flooding that's in East Harlem, potentially Harlem as well. We're not quite sure, but this is a really exciting potential outcome. And then last but not least is the improved water quality and reduction in harmful algal blooms in the water bodies. not only will the filtration systems that we're going to be implementing be an incredible benefit, but city potable water has a huge amount of phosphorus in it. So with that significant reduction of the city potable water going through the water bodies and that significant reduction in phosphorus, we're expecting a really great benefit to the water quality. So really quickly, just wanted to show you, because as I mentioned, most of this, no one is going to be aware that anything is going to be happening in the park. But what we are going to have is in a few locations, a few surface features, typical things that you do see in the park all the time, whether they're manholes or utility cabinets, or, you know, hatches. They're going to be as minimal as possible. So there's going to be a few of these elements around the Harlem Mirror, the Southeast Cove that Bob had gone through, a few close to the Conservatory Garden. On the west side, close to the 100th Street Pool, we're going to have a few more of these features as well with the vaults and the cabinets, but they're going to really be hidden in the landscape. These are just showing you some rendered versions. We have, you know, so many of these elements in the park that we were going to put shrubs in front of them, hide them behind, you know, buildings and things like that, that you won't notice them. And that's it.
Thank you so much. There's a couple questions. Go ahead, Russell.
I was a part of that tour, I forget the name of the tour earlier this year, with DEP and other agencies. The impact of the flooding that's on Lenox Avenue from 145th Street to 110th Street that was focused on 116th Street to the entrance of the Mir. How does this impact with the flooding that way?
I'm so sorry. I'm having trouble. Are you talking about the Blue Belt tour?
Yes. So, what was it, a couple months ago?
And we went in January.
Yeah, I don't remember time.
Yeah. And so sorry, what's your question about this?
How does that impact that? How does that intersect? How does it connect with the flooding that's on Lenox Avenue on the subway route? That's been with the new flooding, environmental changes, the flooding that comes down Lenox Avenue.
Right. So
All
this is only addressing the water use in Central Park. So this is not capturing any of that water on Lenox Avenue or any of the water north of the park related to that tour that we went on. This is just the water in Central Park itself.
But then the question will be, how will that impact it eventually? What are the impacts in the future?
How will this project impact that project?
How would that flooding from Lenox Avenue and the subway system impact when the water is still coming? Will eventually get to Central Park in the Mir? As I was explained, it's my understanding. I'm just asking impact.
I'm gonna actually ask Steve Bope, who is our studio director for planning, to chime in here to answer that, because I don't know if we will have an impact on that in our specific project. The Blue Belt project would have to go forward to address that flooding.
Yeah, I can address that. I mean, we've been working with DEP, and the idea is that our project would be built first, and you know, their project you know, would sort of piggyback on ours, and certain infrastructure that we're putting in would facilitate that project happening. So it's sort of a phase thing or an add-on. Our project, you know, takes the water out of combined sewer from the park going into East Harlem, and then that project would mitigate the flooding north of the park by bringing water through that Blue Belt system. So it's sort of like this would happen first, and this project would allow that project to happen down the line, but they're still in a planning stage. We're just a little farther along with our project at this stage, if that answers the question.
Yeah, so correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand it, is that it'll help with flooding in East Harlem because of the reduced amount of water that's going into the combined sewer system, so that more water in a rain event can go into that sewer system instead of being at the street. But they don't know yet the impacts for Central.
Yeah, we are reducing the amount of water with this system that goes into the 110th Street sewer around in the area between Lenox and Adam Clayton Powell. So there is some impact there, but the primary impact would be it to the east of the
Right.
park.
Thank you. And is there any update on the Blue Belt proposal and grant funding? No.
No, we expect to hear by the end of the month.
Oh, great, excellent. And then I had another question. It's just a confirmation that it looks like everything around the mirror is the same programmatic elements being used in the same ways, but they're just being updated for ADA accessibility and code compliance. Is that generally correct?
Yes.
That's correct. Yep.
Yes, that's correct.
Michelle?
Piggybacking on that, what is the material, like, it couldn't understand the material that was gonna be used for the actual pathways? You said you're gonna remove asphalt and add what type of material? I couldn't tell what that was on the path.
The paths will remain as asphalt. The only change would be to where the actual boardwalk, the boardwalk features are, and that's sort of a metal, very tight metal grating that you can walk on. But the one change I mentioned was at the mere now you have sort of these gravel paths that have not held up very well, and we will be changing those to asphalt to be more durable. So yeah, that was that section.
That increase the heat? I mean, it's very hot over here.
Yes.
And so that's why I was so excited when you were like, oh, we're gonna remove the asphalt and add something else, another element. But it's being that you can keep that element.
Yeah, I mean, the asphalt is the most, it provides the best accessibility from a surface perspective.
Right, but yeah, and I get what you're saying. It's so, what color is the asphalt, I guess? Gray?
Starts out black and it turns to gray.
Okay, because I think some of the communications that we've been having with the Department of Parks, for example, at the school playgrounds that are covered in asphalt, they're all black asphalt, and that sucks in the sun and makes it hotter in the neighborhood generally. So is there an opportunity potentially for this to be like a light gray or some sort of lighter material asphalt?
You can't really push the color envelope on asphalt too much, and I think from sort of
What about like chip seal or something?
I'm sorry?
What about like chip seal or another material?
I mean, that would be a whole different kind of material perspective that we'd be introducing into, kind of a historic park here.
Can you do us a favor and just look into the opportunities to sort of reduce heat generation from the pathways?
Yep.
Any other
Absolutely.
questions?
Absolutely. Yep. And I think a lot of that gets done through plantings as well, through tree plantings.
Yeah. Malik?
Bob, I forget the slide, but you said we could get back to that slide later if we have any questions. I guess, I don't remember the exact slide. I know how it looks.
I just meant the presentation in general, if there were any questions.
No, I know.
I think it was the one with all of the sections on it, Diane, the opening slide.
Yes.
That one.
Right there. So my question is, do we lose part of the mirror or the water? Because in this slide, I see the white part is where the construction is happening for the pool. And then the black part is the construction that'll be happening around the shorelines, right? So I'm asking, like, if you see where the white part is, it's like a green, like right there, yes.
Yeah.
It's like a green, do we lose that?
No. That's the existing island, and that's very that will remain. The only reason we're showing that white line going out into the mirror like that is because we actually did some dredging in the mirror to restore the bottom of the mirror. There's been a lot of silt that has run in over the years, and so that was just part of the construction. But that island is being kept and actually improved.
Okay. And then at the shoreline, are y'all extending it a little bit? Do we lose some I guess water or something like that?
No, No.
Okay,
And it's really generally a one-to-one replacement for plantings, the invasive plants that have taken over existing plants. We are expanding the shoreline a little bit on that north section to gain a little more water. And then, but generally, no, it's generally the same. We're not taking any water. We're not losing any water.
and then speaking about, I forget, not the grass, I guess the grass area that you wanna change up. That you was just alluding to, that you was just talking about. You wanted to change it to something else, right? It was high and now you want it low.
Right.
Yeah, the plants that I was showing you are an invasive material that are not a native plant. They have taken over. They're called Phragmites, and they don't really support any kind of habitat or wildlife, and they really take over all the good plants that we want for our ecosystem. So it's about taking those out and restoring the aquatic plantings that are native and meant to be. This is just a management issue in terms of these invasives. All over New York City, you see these things happening. So we're trying to get on top of it and restore the more beneficial plantings.
And they also block a lot of views, I would just say, to the water when those grow up. They're so tall, you can't, see the water in a lot of places.
That's a good point. Yeah.
But how will we maintain it? That's my question, really. How will it be maintained so this won't happen again?
Well, that's a great question. And, we have the resources. This is something that hasn't happened overnight. It's been happening, so these things kind of happen over years, and they, like any other sort of plantings or landscapes, they require refreshing at times. And so it will be a combination of replacing them, but then a strong management regime to keep them out of here over time.
Sandy, do you know who would?
It would be the conservancy staff.
Yeah, it's the conservancy.
That would be maintaining so that we don't have the Phragmites to grow back, and maintaining the aquatic plantings that we install as part of this project.
Yeah.
Great questions, everybody.
And I got my last question.
Go ahead.
I see we have a filter going on, a filter system, that we're working on. I just wanted to know, our water bill will be going down too?
For individually, I don't know. But I mean, we'll see. I think just a net benefit of the reduction of potable water. I mean, it's crazy that these water bodies are using New York City drinking water. So it's exciting all around, because not only there's this recirculation project, there's also the replacement of the Alaska pool, which had just incredibly leaked when it was in season, and with the new pool, obviously that won't be happening. They'll just have to top it off as they need to, and not, I think the Parks Department had to really kind of refill it almost every day because it leaked. This is going to just really have a great benefit.
Great. Seeing no more questions, thank you so much for your presentation. I would like to entertain a motion.
A motion to support, the project from.
It's 2 and 1. It'll be 2.
Both
Yeah.
projects from Central Park Conservancy.
Great. Second by Rosa. All those in favor?
Can I add a conditional?
Well, it was already seconded, but what is your condition? You have to be on top. Yeah, I gotta be quick.
I was trying to okay, with the conditions of just, finding if there's a way to lighten the alcohol so that it is not increasing the heat in our
I'm
area.
sorry, can you change it to what, I'm asking? To what Jessica suggested, that they find other ways to make it not hot rather than change, cause he said.
Yes, to find more ways to make it not as heat producing.
Okay.
In the past.
To support, to provide a letter of support. Do you accept, let me write it out first, support for both projects with the condition that CPC investigate other hardscaping materials and other solutions to reduce heat gain,
Throughout the whole project.
Yeah. That's right.
to reduce heat.
I mean, I would just go with the pathways just so that they.
Okay.
Give us that down, they're not gonna, we can't reduce heat, like.
Right, okay.
But this, the
I got you.
element that could be, thought about.
No, I got you. I'll
It's
follow.
not rocket science.
Yeah. No, I got you.
So I wrote with the condition that CPC investigate other hardscaping materials to reduce heat gain in the projects. Was there another way you wanted to say it?
No, I like that.
Okay, so we're all good with that. Do you re-second? Re-second? And all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you for your patience.
Thank
for our
Thank you.
meeting.
Thank you for your time.
Great. Have a great evening. We have just a couple more quick items. The first is the old business about the community garden tours. Do you, want to get, do you want me to give an update on that?
Well, you can give an update, because she finished the tour, I had to go, but, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Jessica.
And Jewel.
Oh, Jewel showed up? Okay, Jewel, thank you for, coming. I know other people, I know we all have different obligations. I know throughout the summer that, whenever y'all can make it, y'all come. But, it really went well, and, I'm just looking forward to the different tours and just to see the different green spaces. We got treated well, and we was very much so welcomed at, the different gardens. We even got, a little education, so for us to understand and know, what some of these, what some of these green spaces go through. And obviously water is like a hot commodity for them, especially during the times of heat. And that's something that maybe I know, I forgot the guide, the tour guide that Alex
From Green Thumb.
from Green Thumb. I know he mentioned that there's some type of water, I forgot, some type of water project in the works. Obviously, it's not right now. For all, green, the green, from all community garden spaces.
Yeah.
So, but right now, we can try to figure out how we can help them out in the future. And it's just something that, enlightened me, to join. To join. But Jessica, you can, finish it out.
Oh, yeah, it was it was truly fantastic experience. Like the gardeners were there at every garden. They were
Except for
excited
one.
to see us, except for one. They wanted us to wait until 2 PM and we couldn't do that, so.
Yeah.
But the one at the Disney one, at 103rd, yeah. 134th, yeah. Yeah, so, I just want to say that Green Thumb has been a spectacular partner. They organized all the maps for us. They contacted all the gardens. They've been advertising on their website. Like, we've gotten other people joining us, and, it's been a great.
From outside of our community.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's, Pleasant Village, we got a whole email about it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I just wanted to say thank you to Malik for organizing. Thank you to everyone who came this last week. I know there's a lot going on, so if you're able to join us. We're setting up another document similar to last year. And then, I haven't shared it yet, but I promise I will by the end of this weekend.
Cynthia, where?
Oh, Cynthia.
Oh.
Cynthia, please, feel free to jump in.
Hi, Cynthia.
Thank you for
Hi,
your hard work.
everyone.
It's paid off in just one visit.
Yeah, no, I just want to jump in because I have it locked, but I just want to jump in and say, well, one, I'm sorry I couldn't miss it, but I heard good things and I'm excited you guys got to meet the gardeners. I have been reaching out to the other gardeners and for the next, at least for the dates in June that are left, so June 15th and June 29th. And like 98% are available. I did switch out the times to start at 11. So, so I think Malik mentioned that might be a better time. And so that has been done. I'll send an updated document. Given the amount of gardens in the next 2 days, at least, I think those are the ones that have the most gardens, 8 and 7 gardens in each day. I kept the tour to like 15-ish, 17 minutes, whatever it divides up to. But it's 11. It can be 11 to 1:30 if we want to give a little bit of wiggle room, or 11 to 1. Every time I call the gardeners, I let them know this can move more quickly or slower than anticipated, just because it depends on the conversations that are taking place at each spot that's being visited. But yeah, I'll send that document over so that you kind of update that longer master document of all the tours with those dates. And just FYI that on June 29th, 2 of the gardens kind of got reordered a little bit, like readjusted. And that's just again for availability. It doesn't really affect the flow or like the routes of the garden because of that you could take, because they're still kind of spaced out in a way moving from south to north. So, but I will send that updated document.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. And really appreciate your partnership in this, Michelle.
I just wanted to say, I really like the map that were provided. I'm not going to it, but I remember Alex talking about on June 9th that there is a volunteer work at, thank you, so I was gonna try to pronounce it. Which was one of the community gardens that had a really great, composting project that they were doing with grass and whatnot. And so each garden has its very unique, creativity.
We ate well there too.
Yes, we sure did.
Thank you, Michelle.
And I just wanted to remember to add that.
Thank you. And I'm sorry I missed recognizing Michelle for coming to the event. I'm sorry for missing you.
I will say, yeah, I do want to say, I guess I'll take the time right now just to say that this volunteer day is this upcoming Sunday. So I know it's the same time as the Puerto Rican Day Parade, so I understand if people are occupied elsewhere, makes sense. But it is, but if you want to help a garden that has a long history of Puerto Rican gardeners, that is one way to do it too, to celebrate. And so Umacao will be having their volunteer day this Sunday, June 9th, from 12 to 4, and folks could come in and out, throughout that time. But this is a garden on First Ave and 108 East 108th Street. So I have a flyer I can send out. But yeah, please hope some folks can join us.
Great. And then so they'll be having every other weekend, and I think we should send out calendar invites. So it's on everyone's calendar. Anything else?
Sorry, so for the ones that we're not being able to either like attend or not being welcome to, what are we doing?
I think we're taking visual assessment, but I think the only one that we didn't meet, someone at this last tour had everything that they needed, it seemed, so.
Yeah, and they have private funding.
Yeah, they're private.
So it's not really with parks and stuff like that.
I know, but if, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm saying like, if we're not welcome there, imagine.
It's not that we're not welcome. They wanted us to show up later than we could have shown up, so we showed up to look at it without them, and then we didn't end up seeing them.
But it was open, you could just walk in.
Oh, okay, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. No, it's not because they weren't welcome.
Okay.
Just a quick question. Okay, we gotta raise our hands. Michelle raised her hand, and then Asher, and we have 2 more things we need to do, so please make it brief.
Never mind, I'll just.
Photo.
Yes,
Where can we put them?
I will send the document, same way as last month. I'll just put it in a Google Drive.
Okay.
Okay, cause I was gonna just send it to you, but like, no, you had it.
Yeah, I'll send something around.
Thank you.
Asher?
Never mind, I'll just email.
Okay.
My question to Cynthia, will y'all have more, like seeds and, different, to plant? At the different gardens again? Or do y'all-
Did Alex pass out the free seeds packets?
Yes.
Gotcha. We do have more of those. I don't know. We have a lot of those little like packets of seeds. As far as other types of seedlings, like already like plant starts or anything, that might be a little bit harder. Also, it's harder like for people to carry, but we can definitely bring more of those like packets of seeds for people.
If possible, like per weekend, I mean, per tour, if they can have, if y'all can provide some, I'm not saying you need to provide, a bunch. But if they want to use them or ask for them, it'll be available, it'd be nice.
Yep, okay, I'm gonna move us along, if that's okay. Thank you, Cynthia.
No
For
problem.
your partnership. We'll look out for your updated document. We'll send out a folder for photos and the calendar invites. And Malik will follow up with any additional information. Thank you, Malik.
No problem.
All right, the last items are new business. There's a conduit installation happening at Crackaswack Park. And as far as, Khalid, do you wanna?
So yeah, it's basically a fiber installation that is gonna be injected from outside the perimeter of the park. And they're just gonna drill down and under the park, Harlem River, and of course, is it the Harlem River Express? Yeah, the FDR Drive, so like Crackaswack, FDR Drive, and into the Harlem River, but it's just gonna go down, and it's an uninvasive project where the service would not be impacted, they're just drilling down, but the matter is gonna go before the Public Safety and Transportation Committee, and they do have to sign off on an interagency revocable request, basically stating that they have like no contest, no issues, no concerns, so recommendations for approval or approval without recommendations or et cetera, so forth. So feel free to attend the Public Safety Committee meeting next Thursday. And if you wanna, make any input, you can feel free to. The documents, I did already put that on, I think I already placed that on the Airtable for the Public Safety Committee calendar, so you can go and check those out and just take a look and see what the project is for. Malik, when we had the discussion, and we did look at the documents, the project is to increase, I think, service capacity throughout the area in general. So that's why the project is with ComEd, why they're doing that. So, yeah, feel free to make any inputs if you'd like. You have your vice chair for the committee right here.
Yeah.
You said for Con Ed.
Yes, this is ComEd's project.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions? And just an invitation to you all either to reach out to Jose and Michelle via email or attend public safety and provide any comments. The last item of new business, Joel?
Oh, so thank you. So I was late to the community garden because I attended this. There was a plastic waste audit that took place on Saturday, 12 to noon. On Third Avenue, East 103rd Street. This was sponsored by the Manhattan Swab. One of the swab is solid waste. So I do attend there. I'm not.
Can you say that again? Solid waste advisory board?
I attend their meetings. I'm not a member of the swab. So they did, so we went around and we picked up cigarette butts. Other types of plastic bottles, et cetera. This was the result of the audit. Feel free to take a look in terms of the amount of butts that were collected. And so Joyce Bialik is the person at the Manhattan Swab that I did a lot of them. I people. Yeah, and actually, we actually conflicted with the Puerto Rican Day, that's why it's but so these are the things that picked up, and there's everything else, so everything else is there. And so this is an audit, the Manhattan Swab is going around different areas of the city, they chose East Harlem. I found out kind of late in the game, otherwise I would have said more about this, you may wonder why, we collected cigarette butts, and how does that relate to plastic waste? Anyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please let us know, because I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah, why is that? Why is it?
With the filter?
Yeah. They think she wins. I'm surprised that we did.
So what is that?
So, plastic. I'm gonna read what they have on their site, because everyday cigarette butts are dropped on our streets, go down our drains into local waters and leach into our soil. They endanger fish, birds, plants, and ultimately humans. Butts are the second largest category litter and number 4.5 trillion worldwide annually. Filters are not biodegradable. They're made of cellulose, acetate, the plastic that breaks down into microplastics by fish, become part of their flesh, and then consumed by humans. The filters contain lead, cadmium, and arsenic, which kill fish and other wildlife. For humans, such toxins have been found to damage young brains and cause cancer, skin lesions, and produce. So, wondering why we, yeah, so, those are the results, the Manhattan Swab wants me to kind of, bring it to your attention, Peter, happy to bring back information, hopefully they'll, with the Manhattan Swab will, be part of an ongoing presentation as in one of these other.
Informational things.
Yeah, exactly. So just connect my item.
Great.
Thank
you so much. Any questions for Joel?
That's why I was late to the.
Don't worry. Any questions?
No.
All right.
Good.
Any,
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
any other old
No.
business, any new business? Just with that, we'll roll call.
Yes.
Sorry, I know Clayton's gonna kill me.
Did y'all mention these out loud?
No, that's youth and education.
Ready?
Yep.
Rosa Diaz,
Present.
Jessica Elliott,
Present.
David Giordano,
President.
Jewel Jones,
Present.
Connie Lee,
Present.
Malik McCullough,
President.
Debbie Quinones,
Present.
Asher Rodriguez,
Present.
Russell Schuler, President, Michelle Wilshire.
Great job, everyone. Excellent meeting. Sorry for yelling.
Hey, guys, hey.
Meeting adjourned.
Yes, madam.
Thanks, everyone.